Hi, I'm Luke Zipp from Crocker Farm Auction, and I'm here to take you through our gallery as we're preparing to set up for our spring 2024 Stoneware and Redware auction. And first of all, this is an incredible selection of American stoneware and redware. Definitely one of our best auctions ever, and probably one of the best assemblings of American stoneware and redware to ever cross the auction block. So I'm going to try to go in detail with some of the better items, but also go pretty fast because I don't want to, keep this dragging on too long. I will let you know, first of all, that our auction is located in Baltimore County, Maryland, but all of our bidding takes place virtually online on our website, www.crockerfarm.com, from March 27th until April 5th. Items under $5,000 close out online April 5th, and then there's a phone bid session for items $5,000 and more on April 6th. We do everything in-house. We're a family business. We keep our rates really among the fairest in the business. We do all our shipping in-house at a very reasonable rate as well. So we try to cultivate a very user-friendly experience. So if you have something you're interested in, we hope you bid on it. Second of all, everything you see are consignments. So we're a consignment business. If you have a piece of stoneware and redware that you're wondering if it might be a good fit for our auction, feel free to reach out. But I want to start off first with this item. It's lot 1 in our spring auction. It is a very exciting new discovery in American stoneware that we're privileged to be the first to introduce to the world, but really it's already become a legendary piece. So the body of work of David Drake, who was an enslaved potter from Edgefield district, is very well documented. There's a lot known about his work after he started signing his name, Dave, which there's a large number of vessels that bear the signature of Dave, which began in 1840. So there's a large body of work from 1840 up until the Civil War of Dave vessels, where there's a lot known about both his forms, his glazes, even his inscriptions. Dave is a legendary potter. We were privileged to offer a jar which bore a free verse couplet on it that actually became the highest selling example of American pottery ever. And so he's very legendary as a potter who transcended his status as an enslaved individual and became a very noteworthy skilled craftsperson. But really what's lesser known is his earlier work, pre-1840, that doesn't bear his signature, but there's a body of work there with inscriptions that are generally more finely, thinly potted, less like this jar, and have the ones that are inscribed have smaller inscriptions around the collar. This jar is one of only 3 vessels known that actually bear a decoration by David Drake. So an incised decoration. This is a bird with hooked bill, feather detail, legs and feet, tail feathers. So it's a really cool stylized bird drawing. If you're wondering what it is, Dave left little to the imagination because he titled this drawing Eagle-Toed Owl. This jar is actually very ripe for research potential. Owls are significant in Southern folklore, in Southern African American folklore, and we would love someone to actually research the significance of what Dave was trying to communicate both with this drawing and this inscription. But it's a very exciting new discovery. Came out of Florida, and we're privileged to offer it to lead off our spring auction. Another example that we had for this auction was actually our first major new discovery as a business. It was the highlight of our summer 2004 auction, which was our first auction ever. And it was newly discovered in Pennsylvania, but it's a work, it bears the mark H. Myers, which we discovered is the merchant shop of Henry Myers that was superintended by Henry Remy and his son Henry Harrison Remy, who were Manhattan trained of the legendary Remy family of potters, came down to Baltimore at the start of the War of 1812 to superintend the shop. And they really were, Henry Remy Sr. was really the one who made Baltimore Stoneware the style center for Southern stoneware production for decades. So you can see it's beautifully thrown, beautifully fired, this great contrast of cobalt oxide over gray clay, and then beautifully decorated with this large incised bird. It's a game bird with hooked bill, eye, feather detail, impressed. Look at this, all this impressed, like half circle feather detail, wings, and talons of, this is probably a grouse. And then this typical Remy flower as well, and it's on the other side. It's just a beautiful water cooler. It's been in the same collection since it's sold at our auction 20 years ago. We're privileged to offer it again. Another new discovery is actually an example of the Baltimore style being brought south in the person of Thomas Chandler. He actually trained at the Myers shop and came to Edgefield District in the late 1830s. And he was the main potter at this pottery, Phoenix Factory, Edgefield, South Carolina. During that time, that Phoenix Factory was in existence, they existed to make stoneware for the more high style market of Charleston, South Carolina. And so Chandler brought decorative skill and knowledge to the Edgefield district. And so you can see here's a stylized floral decoration, kind of typical of Baltimore, but with iron slip instead of cobalt. It's a great new discovery, came out of North Carolina. And here is another just major example of American stoneware. We've sold several very significant pieces of stoneware with patriotic eagle decoration. And they're some of our most legendary offerings, and this really ranks alongside them. What's awesome is this jug is legendary in its own right. It is on the cover of Georgiana Greer's book on American stoneware from 1981. It sold as part of her landmark sale in 1991. It was probably the best single owner collection of American stoneware ever to be offered at auction. We'd love to supersede that one day with a single owner sale, but her auction in 2 sessions at Harmer Rook is still a thing of legend, and this jug sold then, and it's been in the same collection ever since. But you can see this incredible patriotic eagle with heavily incised wings and feather detail, federal shield, arrows, drapes, and then an incised fish next to the eagle, which is just kind of cherry on top. But this was made at the shop of Barnabas Edmonds and Company in Charlestown, which was a neighborhood in Boston. But it's just an incredible object that we're thrilled to offer. Over here is this great selection of northern slip decorated figural stoneware. So a lot of people who collect stoneware, that's kind of what they think of when they think of American stoneware, is this northern style that began in Rochester, New York, about 1840, which is this real lifelike representation of flowers, of birds, and then rarer still of animals. This is made at the Norton shop, J&E Norton, about 1855 in Bennington, Vermont. And it's one of the best renderings of a horse in American stoneware. You can see it's on this 6-gallon churn, so it's a really large canvas, and then the decoration fills a very sizable portion of the churn. But you can see the detail of the decorator, not just the anatomical detail of the horse, the flowing mane and tail, but then also you can see its bridle, saddle, alongside a fence. It's just beautiful, breathtaking example that really is among the pinnacle of figural decorations that you'll find on American stoneware. to the left over here is the more typical, what you think of it with great Norton stoneware, is the deer decoration. And standing deer, this is 6 gallons, so again, a really large canvas, and a great standing deer decoration. And Norton's were really the one of the largest factories producing figural decorated stoneware in this period. But then there were other factories with both itinerant decorators and their local potters and decorators that made very high quality stoneware. And so one of the rarer potteries is in Whately, Mass. This is the pottery of S.D. Kellogg, Whately. And you can see, if you can't tell by the form, the pail shape, beaded rim, the handles, then the underside I'll show real quickly. The hole, so this is a flower pot, which is very rare to have a piece of American stoneware, a large stoneware flower pot, but it was made obviously for a special purpose as a gift, profusely decorated with a bird and flowers, very artistically executed. And so this is another example that actually is on the cover of a book. This is on the cover of the book on Whately stoneware. It's a legendary piece in its own right. John Berger was really one of the first potters to bring stoneware decoration, of slip decoration, up to an artistic level. You can see this is a very, very finely executed deer decoration with spots. And then underneath something reminiscent of a palm tree, but then next to a pine tree. It's just a gorgeous representation of a deer, really reminiscent of a naturalistic print of the period. Again, on a 6-gallon churn. And here is a very fine, another piece of Norton with really some of the best cobalt oxide that you could find in American stoneware. Just a gorgeous example of one of their better typical decorations, which is a pheasant, a spotted pheasant on that split tree stump right there. But moving along, so this is an example of Greensboro, Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania stoneware. It's star pottery with a stenciled eagle. Some of the best examples of Western Pennsylvania stoneware is that combination of stencil and freehand. So this combines one of the better stencils that you will find in Western Pennsylvania stoneware, is that large spread wing eagle, but then all this profuse vining and floral decoration. And this large showy 10-gallon jar. It's one of a large selection of really nice Western Pennsylvania stoneware that we'll be offering. Okay, so moving on to the cases, here's an extremely important example of Virginia stoneware that we'll be offering. It bears the signature of George Duncan, 1827, and he potted in Loudoun County, Virginia, which was a potting center of the families of the Gardners and Duncans that there was very little known about before Amy Birch did some groundbreaking research and published it. But this is one of the finer examples known of Loudoun County stoneware. George Duncan's signature, the date 1827. It's really a piece that has to be held in person because of its three-dimensional quality of flowering vine surrounding this ring flask. Beautiful spout there. It's nice incised Federal eagle with great detail. And what's so cool too is this is the only ring flask that I have ever seen that still survives with what we believe is its original leather strap. So this was meant to be taken on horseback and to be hung over the saddle. And it still survived. I mean, it was made to carry liquid and remain intact. And this piece survives in incredible condition. So we're thrilled to offer it. Over here, This is a great early example of Baltimore stoneware. I love these English jar forms, but then with this profuse cobalt that Henry Remy introduced to Baltimore. We attribute this to probably the manufacturing of Parr and Berlin about 1820. But Baltimore, as most of you know, was a maritime city. And here is a sailing vessel with even sailors communicated with cobalt oxide. It's a rare example and a really great new discovery. Here is another great new discovery. It's a turtle flask, molded, as Joanna Brown notes in her groundbreaking article in Ceramics in America, molded from a box turtle, from life. What's great is, I believe this is the only example of this particular mold and size. It was made in the Moravian community of Salem, North Carolina, the shop of Rudolph Christ, who is well known. So these figural flasks, most typically known are the squirrels and the fish. Turtles are quite rare. And then this turtle with this incredible copper oxide glaze is a very significant new discovery. Here is one of the best examples of Western Pennsylvania stoneware that we've ever offered. It's a spaniel form with presentation inscription, Frank Hamilton, Greensboro, Pennsylvania. So he is the Hamilton of Hamilton and Jones, which is one of the more significant stoneware manufactories in American history. And this is his personal spaniel. These spaniels on base are some of the most legendary objects of Western Pennsylvania stoneware. You see the profuse dotting. There's an incredible spaniel at Winter Tour. But then this bears the inscription of James Atchison, who made a number of legendary salt glaze spaniels from Western Pennsylvania. Alongside it, it's a very rare object of American stoneware. It's a piece of North Carolina stoneware tableware by Chester Webster with an awesome incised heron and insect. Chester Webster was trained in Hartford, Connecticut, and you can see this decoration definitely has roots in Hartford. But this sugar bowl is quite unusual and extremely fine for North Carolina production. Another great example of North Carolina stoneware is this Alamance County sugar jar, probably about 1790 to 1810. The pottery of Alamance County is among the most exuberantly decorated examples of American redware. This jar is monumental in size for Alamance County redware. It's a large, I'm actually going to take it out so you can see how it relates to me, but profusely decorated. This was previously exhibited during the traveling art and clay exhibit at Mesda at Colonial Williamsburg at the Milwaukee Art Museum. And it's just a tour de force of American redware. Alongside it is a dish that is in Rice and Stout's book, I believe from 1928, and was in their personal collection, attributed to Peter Bell of Hagerstown, Maryland, the patriarch of the famous Bell family of potters. It's dated 1810, and it says, J.E. his dish, with this awesome flowering motif. And then this fish scale design, which really is typical of Peter Bell, attributed work. This is an outstanding example. Moving along, we have some pieces of New York State stoneware that I want to highlight. We're going to be having more out on the stands. But this is made by John Remy III in Manhattan, Wells, New York. He's the brother of Henry Remy, who came to Baltimore. What's awesome is this looks like a typical half-gallon jug, but on the back it's one of the few known incised examples of Remy's work for Mott, and then dated June 4th, 1807. Great new discovery came out of Long Island. The Lehman pottery was in Manhattan. Beautiful figural deer decoration. And then this is attributed to the McCoy pottery, also in Manhattan. This nice little girl with ringlets. This is a great Manhattan jug. But then right here is a great example of Paul Cushman stoneware. He decorated, he marked his objects with a coggle wheel. So it wasn't like a typical stamp. He actually rolled a roulette wheel. And this is his best coggle known. So it's Paul Cushman's Stoneware Factory 1809. And then below it, half mile west of Albany, goal, but he meant to spell jail in the old-fashioned way. It's rare to have an example with that crisp, full coggle with cobalt oxide as well. Here's some more great Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia stoneware. So starting out, this is the highlight from West Virginia. It's from Morgantown, West Virginia. Pottery of D.G. Thompson. It has his capacity stamp, 2-gallon. And then this beautiful bird decoration. Now Thompson and this pottery communicated so much with so little in terms of brush strokes. So to really have an artistic rendering of a bird on a branch with very few brush strokes in cobalt is a masterwork. He's more known for the people decorations, but this is a great figural bird decoration. An exciting piece to offer. Starting out is a very rare form. I'm actually going to pull this one out. So from decoration, we attribute it to William Leet Hamilton of Greensboro, Pennsylvania. Earlier, I believe about 1850, but profusely decorated with freehand cobalt vine. It is one of those rare Western Pennsylvania forms that very few survived, of a string holder. So you'd pull string out the top. If you don't follow us on Instagram, I encourage you to do so. There's actually a video of us using it in its design purpose, but it's just a great example of Western Pennsylvania stoneware. Here's a miniature jar attributed to Swank pottery, inscribed CS on underside. Here's a stoneware apple with apple decoration. Then here's a very rare stencil decoration from Western Pennsylvania. This is a tavern scene, which you can see bartender, one man can hold his liquor, one man clearly cannot. But that's an exciting new discovery. And then we're rounding out our collection of West Virginia advertising. So we have some really fine, rare examples from Jackson Courthouse, Ravenswood. This is a gorgeous jar. There's another Ravenswood, another Jackson Courthouse. And then below, some rare pictures, both from West Virginia, the Donahoe pottery. That's attributed Donahoe. That's New Geneva, Pennsylvania tinware, Williams and Redware, Greensboro. Warren Hartman is a legendary early collector and scholar for American stoneware, and we're privileged to offer his collection in this auction. And so all the pieces here are from the Warren Hartman collection, as I'll show you some other objects later, but just to highlight, so Warren loved early American stoneware, especially from the Albany, New York area. And so there's some great highlights there. But let me show you this little ointment jar with incised bird, initials dated 1806. This extremely finely potted stoneware jar, heavily tooled shoulder, watch spring decoration, dated 1791 with initials EM, so attributed to Abraham Mead of Greenwich, Connecticut. Incredible object, previously of the Lou Scranton collection, but it had descended in the Mead family initially. Here's another stoneware flower pot attributed to William Nichols, initials on the top, dated 1815. Extremely rare. Here's another dated example, 1818, attributed to William Nichols. It's a heart, and then incised bird and foliate decoration. Great small size jug, N. Clark Jr. And it's very rare to have brushed figural decoration from the Albany, New York region. Awesome stoneware jug. Great selection of coggle decoration Cushman jars. Albany, New York area with manganese decoration. 2 incised birds. Then we have a great piece from Thomas Comerall. So I'll show you more examples of Comerall later. That's his impressed name. Comerall's stoneware, that great vertical handle form and impressed swag and tassels. But Comerall's story was lost in history until my brother Brant rediscovered that he was a man who was born into slavery and became a very successful businessman, stoneware potter in Manhattan. And his story is just starting to be recognized at major museums, major institutions, and Brant's book was published fairly recently, and it's awesome to document the life and work of Thomas Comerall. We have several great examples in this auction. Here's an outstanding Anna Pottery stoneware pig, bought with that very elaborate signature by Anna Pottery, 1882. If you aren't familiar, Wallace and Cornwall Kirkpatrick, brothers and owners of the Anna Pottery, frequently made these really fine stoneware pigs they titled Railroad and River Guide. So it has a railroad map, river guide, very fun sayings. Cincinnati, the pork city, mounds, and then you drink out of the hindquarters. This is a great Anna Pottery pig. And then below it is a very nice, oversized Anna Pottery pig. In the Anna Pottery style is this snake jug made at Texarkana pottery, very strong attribution, with snake handle, pied turtle, lizard, heavily scored decoration, beautiful temperance vessel. Alongside it is this Ohio harvest jug with lizard handle and cobalt spots and rock eyes, believe it or not. This harvest jug actually was published in the magazine Antiques in 1946. So it's kind of a legendary piece in its own right, and we're thrilled to offer it. We have a couple great vase jugs by Ernest Galloway or an associate from Paducah, Kentucky, with Albany slip coating and then heavily detailed eyes, teeth, facial features. Galloway really was one of the masters of stoneware production in the late 19th century, making face vessels on just figural jugs. of his production and making. And moving down, we have some other great Ohio offerings in this sale. So small butter crock and size birds, Amanda A. Allard. We have a skim milk pitcher. We have this small match safe, miniatures here. And then below it, two great harvest jugs, both obviously by the same maker. The presentation inscription, this with a graphic figural spout, and then with rustic handles. This one actually has the maker's name inscribed at the base. Here's some wonderful examples of Mid-Atlantic redware. So this lion is another piece. I have to show you the size of it. Great, impressive size, expressive face. Beautiful example of Pennsylvania figural redware. This vase is either Maryland or Pennsylvania. It's definitely reminiscent of early Hagerstown work. But it could have been made in Pennsylvania as well. This awesome profuse 3-color slip decoration with unique floral decorations on both sides, front and reverse. Wonderful example. This is a fun paperweight for the NA White Pottery, manufacturer of Stoneware, NA White, Utica, New York, manufacturer of fire brick. With a nice hand. Moving along, central Pennsylvania stoneware. So we have a Man in the Moon decoration from Cowden Wilcox and from Evan R. Jones, Pittston, Pennsylvania, which is probably the most legendary decoration from central Pennsylvania stoneware. And then the earlier, simply Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, jar with profuse floral decoration. Here are two great examples of Remy Philadelphia stoneware. So this is Richard Remy, who is the grandson of the maker of the cooler I highlighted earlier. Extremely rare object actually bearing the name of Richard Remy, R.C. Remy, Philadelphia, 1891. In size decoration, and then coggle decoration around the rim. Reminiscent also of work at the Wingender Pottery nearby in Haddonfield, New Jersey, but then also, this is an example clearly made at the Remy Pottery as well, with the same incised floral motif, presentation to Captain Smith. And here's an absolute masterwork of redware production, extremely finely potted, with very detailed applied decoration. Absolutely the work of Swiss-born and trained potter John Lehman. And we feel this piece was made during his American period in Tylersport, Pennsylvania, about 1830. Here is this awesome miniature batter jug from Huntington County, Pennsylvania, stoneware with slip floral decoration. Really cool miniature discovery. We have an absolutely incredible selection of 20th century American face vessels, really anchored by one of the most outstanding selections of Metters family pottery to ever be offered at auction. So here is an example by Airy Metters, one of the few face vessels produced by her from about 1959 to 1969. This example is actually on the cover of Crouch and Crocker's book on airy, cheever, and linear metters. But you can see has cobalt eyes, and then dark slip, mustache, and hair. Incised hair detail. Some feel that these vessels were thrown by Cheever and then decorated by Airy. Alongside this face vessel is this outstanding peacock by Airy Metters during the same period, 59 to 69, and then a vase with peacock decoration. Airy Metters, the matriarch of the Metters family of potters, is a female potter whose time is really starting to come. She's starting to be appreciated for her significant artistry in circles well beyond collectors of Southern folk pottery. Her husband Cheever most likely partnered with then their more famous son Lanier to make this jug with awesome rock eyes and rock teeth and facial details. This surfaced in the Washington, D.C. area and almost certainly was made for the Smithsonian's Folklife Festival in 1967, which was the event that really put the Metters family on the map to a more national audience. Here's another early Lanier Metters face jug from the 1960s. Then other great Lanier examples, very expressive. Here. Then you have his brothers. This is a great Edwin with a snake. This is John. It's actually a double face jug. And there's Reggie. And over here, I want to highlight a couple. First, the Gone But Not Forgotten, great Alabama face jug. Another inscribed I Love You, these great Alabama torso jugs. But here is Otto Brown from North Carolina. But the story on this is documented on the bottom. It was made by Otto Brown, but then it was finished by his wife. So again, an example of a female crafts person in the American South. Nice blue Berlin Craig as well. Moving along, two great examples of Thomas Comerall stoneware. Again, this is another piece that's on the cover of a book. This was also in the Georgiana Greer collection. And it really is a wonderful example of a Thomas Comerall jar bearing all 5 of his stamps: Comerall's, Stoneware, Corlear's Hook, and York. This is an earlier example, only slightly earlier. You can see same form, same impressed swag and tassels, but then the earlier spelling of Corlear's Hook with an E. And York on the reverse. And then right here is a great, real showy, large-sized jug, Comerall Stoneware Corlear's Hook with impressed. People often call this clamshell, so it's swag and tassels, and then reverse. David Morgan was a potter working really in the style of Thomas Comerall with impressed decorations, but instead of tassels, he used hearts. Wonderful jug, David Morgan, New York, encircled with his swags and hearts. And then most of these other objects are from the Warren Hartman collection. Again, figural decoration, possibly a jester from the Albany, the capital region, and flower. Great large size bird and flower. This is Kemple pottery, colonial period in New Jersey. This is probably Captain Morgan, watch spring, colonial period, New Jersey. This is J. Boynton with probably an owl, forward-facing bird. And then this, really probably my favorite piece from the Hartman collection. It says vultured with an incised bird. This alongside a number of the objects were actually displayed in Hartman's article in Ceramics in America. I'm going to highlight a couple objects here. Brown Brothers, Huntington, Long Island, another epitaph crock, I Will Stop Home. Patriotic example inscribed Abe Lincoln. Doesn't look a whole lot like Honest Abe, but it's in the eye of the beholder. And then here is How Are You, McClellan. So General McClellan. A little more detailed decoration here. Outstanding Vermont example with incised heart-shaped flowers. Great breeding Ryan dog. And I want to highlight, this is a very rare Baltimore filter with the Mark Brotherton and Davidson patent Baltimore. It's only the second one of these known. Beautiful cobalt decoration. We have more examples here. Great Southern pottery. Then moving to the rest of our gallery. So our gallery is an historic 1841 barn. So we have stoneware really at home here. Here are two wonderful examples of Baltimore stoneware, including one of the best floral decorated water coolers in existence. It's a new discovery. So you can see this is, people often call this the Baltimore clover decoration. That decoration really began in earnest at the Brotherton Pottery, where I showed you that filter, in like the late 1830s. They were the main competitors of the Parr pottery. You can see this is so profusely decorated. It's a 10-gallon water cooler dated 1839. Profusely decorated on the front and on the reverse. But interestingly enough, this water cooler is kind of the natural successor to this water cooler that was made maybe about 15 years earlier at the Myers Pottery. But this is Remy's kind of creation, this heavy brushed floral motif, beautiful vertical handle form, beautiful tall collar. We have three outstanding examples of Baltimore stoneware water coolers in this auction. And right here, another great example of Cowden and Wilcox stoneware with this really unique, probably parrot decoration and floral. So Cowden's were, there's so many great decorations that are one of a kind or near one of a kind from Cowden's factory, and that's very unusual decoration. Another nice northern deer decoration. This is one from Getty's, New York. Another Cowden Bernal stump. Large size Remy pitcher. Two great large size examples of Ohio stoneware. You can see we have a wonderful selection of American stoneware in this auction. And just walking around very quickly, just show some to you some great Western Pennsylvania stoneware. This is great, mostly New York State stoneware from the Hartman collection. Mostly New York State, a lot of outstanding Worcester, Massachusetts from the F.B. Norton factory here. And then beautiful, mostly New York State figural decorations here. Thank you so much for those who came through the whole gallery with me today. Kudos to you. We're very thrilled that so many of you love Stoneware and Redware as much as me and my family do. Really, it is a privilege to handle so many wonderful examples and a privilege to work with all of you. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to call us at 410-472-2016 or visit our website, crockerfarm.com, for more information. But thank you all very much and happy bidding.